if we can get the stage where we get some of these fancy earphones that translate the speaker. I think that's maybe a challenge if we really want to have a world conference to bring everybody together.
Yeah, but I don't just think that the fancy earphones for translation is for our Portuguese or Spanish speaking friends. It's for somebody like yourself as well, mate. So I think people need to put the headphones and like, John, what are you talking about? John, what are you talking about? Put the headset on so they know.
Yeah. Well, I'll be so handy if it worked like that. Welcome back to the Sports Dentistry podcast. The sun's back. Remember, the sun's back. The weather is fantastic.
It is indeed. I went out for a run this afternoon and it was pretty stinking hot. So I had to stop a couple of times. I got this new belt that you can put your phone into, and you've got a couple of 250ml bottles. Just filled them up with water and was running around. I was thinking, I'm feeling quite good here. And then all of a sudden, just in the heat, it just gets to you and you're like, whoa, I need to stop, rehydrate, put some water over your head and then carry on. And I was quite far away from the house and I was thinking, oh, I need to get back to the house now because it's getting pretty stinking hot. But I'd rather do that and run in the sunshine than run in the wet and miserable rain. But talking about sunshine, how are you feeling after your little weekend away there?
Yeah, good. I was just thinking when you're talking about the water bottles belt, you should have worn one of them, the beer caps. Put your water on either side of them, and you have the straw straight into your mouth. You wouldn't even have to stop. You got to just keep running.
That's true. But too much weight on my head. Don't really want that. So
build up your neck muscles.
That's it. I think enough weight around my waist with the 250ml bottles. It's just getting used to running with that is a bit weird, but it's good to have water on demand.
You can get them bag. You can get also like a wee rucksack with a bag in it, and I've seen a few people use them, but it still feels very heavy to running.
Yeah. I like to keep a good pace, so I think that just kind of weighs me down a little bit more. So try and test it. Try and tell. See how this goes. Anyway, it's a bit different for me, but yeah, it's been beautiful sunshine. Again, topping up your tan in Marbella.
Yes. Had my brother's stag in Marbella. So as I was saying when I was there, it's probably the last stag I'll be allowed to go on. Immediate family member.
Yeah.
I was able to get the birdie points to go. So yeah, Marbella was fantastic. It's the first time I've been there. It was very beautiful. Lovely walk from Marbella to Puerto Banús. So it was a great spot.
It's a lovely part of the world. I honestly think the short flight over there, the fact that you can get on a flight of 2.5, 3 hours and you're in a completely different culture with some beautiful weather, beautiful restaurants, nice walks, like you say, the people are really nice out there too. I think it's something that as we grow with this conference, potentially we could take it into some sort of conference out there and go overseas. I know some people have mentioned potentially going on a skiing holiday, inverted commas, conference. But for me, I think it's going to have to sunshine takes the biscuit.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot easier. Like I love skiing. We've been going regularly now for a few years, but you've a wee bit of effort to go when you get there. You have to get all your gear. You have to get all set up, your ski passes. Once you go on a sun holiday, you only have to find a nice place that does nice refreshing drinks, and you're sorted.
The only thing you need is swimming shorts, sun cream, and like you say, a beach. Don't you? That's what you need.
A beach. Yeah, we did a boat party one of the days, and just even jumping into the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
very refreshing. Yeah, it was nice, and the views of the mountains and stuff. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's good actually. Of all weekends for you to go away, it was this really, really hot weekend. I was down in London at Lord's watching the Test match, and it was roasting hot. Normally, members have to wear their blazers and shirt and ties into the pavilion, but we got an email saying that no blazers aren't required, which is very unheard of because obviously in the UK we're not really built for really, really hot weather. There's AC is really not a thing here. Obviously, when you go overseas and you're living in countries where it's really, really warm, you can get the AC when you're indoors. We don't really have that here. So you're kind of counting on some sort of wind going through the open doors or open windows really to kind of cool you down. And it's funny, 30 degrees in the UK feels different than 30 degrees in Marbella, for example. It just feels completely different just because we just don't have the mechanisms to cope with it here.
Yeah, and then in Marbella you have the coast, so you have a nice breeze, so it almost doesn't just feel as warm as it is.
Yeah,
Where in some of the cities like London, we don't really have that breeze.
yeah,
I can feel quite warm.
yeah.
So yeah, so we're enjoying the sun anyway, and hopefully it hangs around for our conference, which is only 8 weeks away at this stage.
It's scary, isn't it? How time's just flying, and I can remember a few episodes ago you talking about which ones you were going to be going to, and now that the ASD is over, and obviously we had Mike on, who was a fantastic guest, but now our attention turns to the second UK Sports Dentistry conference in Manchester, like you said, 8 weeks away, Friday the 12th of September. We'll say both of us being in the UK, we should plug the UK Sports Dentistry conference because I think it will be a fascinating day with the topic being oral health and athletic performance and doing it in Manchester. We obviously and ad about where can we do it, what part of the UK can we go next, and we thought, look, let's take it to England, and just the timing of the year worked out well with September, the English schools being back, and a lot of the clinicians probably being back and who'd be keen to come. So the numbers are looking good, but hopefully this podcast, this episode will give people a little bit more information about, where it's happening, why we chose there, what the lineup is, and how the day is going to run. Because we have, like we've mentioned before, even less tickets available for the full complete day, which includes the cricket. However, we might be able to get some more, but we want to try and get our allotted number done and dusted first, but we want more people to come. So if there is a big surge in the next 8 weeks, then we can certainly try and look at getting more tickets.
Yeah, yeah, we like it's like anything. I suppose. First of all, for our listeners that are used for us having a guest, we've decided this week not to have a guest. Logistics sort of help dictate that as well. Just with me being in Marbella and yourself being in Lords, it was hard to get guests lined up on time as well. But we have a great run of guests coming up in the next few podcasts. But we thought that what we'd do today is we'd maybe have a chat about our own conference and maybe even give people an insight into the planning of a conference and what goes into that. I know where we have a colleague in South Africa that we're trying to help launch a conference there this year, and we were able to give him some insights from our own experience of launching the UK Sports Dentistry Association, running the first conference, and then running into the second conference, which I think it's an important part, and I spoke to Ruta at one stage about this as well when she was launching our conference in Lithuania, which she did an absolute fantastic job about, and it was the first conference in that region, so she did a big 2-day event. And like we've had this conversation before when we chatted about the UK Sports Dentistry Association, there's challenges to having a 2-day event on a regular basis, which is why we have decided as part of our conference platform that it would be a half a day conference linked in with the dinner and linked in with the sport. So when we were planning the one from November, we were able to very kindly use our our contacts with Scottish Rugby, and we were able to set up going to the Scotland Rugby Autumn International. But it just didn't fall, the timing of the match didn't fall to allow us to do everything as a 1-day event. So we did the conference on a Friday afternoon, had a conference dinner, and the rugby the next day. But I'm really excited about Manchester because everything is on the one day, which I feel makes it so much easier for people to attend. If we start a little bit later, it means people can get early morning flights in if they're unable to travel the day before, and everything's there on the one day, which means even if you stayed locally after the cricket, you're able to go home. It's less of a commitment, or you have the Saturday free to yourself as well, which I think probably a few of us will meet up on the Saturday. There's talk of maybe seeing if we can go to the Manchester Derby or do something similar on the Saturday to keep the group together. But as a conference, sort of planning the conference, really, I personally really like the idea of having everything in the one day, plus with a slightly later start to allow people to fly in that morning. But particularly in the UK, I suppose maybe for our international listeners, particularly the likes of the larger countries, for example, America, if they're traveling across America, their flights could be 5-6 hours, so it's not logistically possible there. But in the UK, a flight anywhere in the UK from one city to the other city is only about an hour. So it allows people to travel that morning. So it means we can start a wee bit later. We can have a great educational piece, and then at dinner where we can sit down, everybody can catch up and network, and then head to a sporting event. And in this case, it's the T20 cricket. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a really nice way of doing it, but we were very fortunate this time that we were able to link it all in with the cricket, where I could see us being challenged for our third conference to be able to run it on a similar sort of concept and get it all into one day.
Hey everyone, save the date. The UK Sports Dentistry Association's second conference is happening on Friday the 12th of September at the Voco Hotel in Manchester. And guess what? It's not just about teeth. We're combining cutting-edge sports dentistry talks with the thrill of live sport. Right after the conference, we're heading to Emirates Old Trafford for the England versus South Africa T20 International. Expect a day packed with expert speakers, athlete Q&A sessions, and plenty of time for networking with dentists, sports pros, and athletes alike. Whether you're in dentistry or passionate about sport, this is a day you won't want to miss. Tickets are live now at sportsdentistryuk.com. Grab yours and join us for an unforgettable day.
Yeah, I think you're right. And because it's a T20 international and it's an evening game, it means we've got pretty much the whole day. And starting it a little bit later at 10 a.m. just means that people can come in the morning, not just flying in, but also getting the train in. Now, the train is obviously Manchester Piccadilly. It's right in the city centre. The hotel that we're hosting it at is only half a mile away. So it's super, super close. And I think doing it like that, we obviously talked about potentially doing the conference potentially at Old Trafford and doing it there, but the logistics of that and people getting to Old Trafford to the cricket ground
Well,
early in that day.
I think the biggest thing about that was actually because it was an international game.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a lot of security around. Where
Yeah.
if it had been a Lancashire cricket game, I think we would have been able to work it, because there's a really nice hotel that looks down onto the cricket ground, and we were thinking that'd be a great place to have the conference during the day, and then everything is in the one area.
Yeah. But I think as a backup now, the way that we've gone about it is pretty good, because people can still come pretty central, and pretty much everybody who's bought tickets so far are coming to the cricket as well. But if they're not, then at least you're central enough to then head back to the train station or head back to the airport, or however it is you're going to be getting home. And there is a car park just around the corner, and you do get 25% off parking for the day as well if you say that you're going to the conference and at the hotel. So you're able to do that too.
Yeah, it's included. So, like in your full day conference ticket, you've got your educational piece, which is 4 hours CPD, your conference dinner, the tram ticket is included. That'll take you, which is 15 minutes from the venue of the hotel to the cricket ground, which will be after the dinner finishes up at about 5 o'clock.
Yeah, so I think hopefully it should all run pretty smoothly that day, and I think it's all be, we'll put out more information about where to go, what to do near the time, but it's all pretty self-explanatory, and all the posts that we've been putting out and all the stories and everything that's been on the actual Sports Dentistry UK Instagram page and the website and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure an email will go out near the time as well. But not taking away from the actual event of the sport that day, we've obviously got a really important CPD that day. We've got some fantastic speakers, a wide range of not just dental clinicians and therapists, but also other healthcare colleagues. So,
But I think the topic first of all is not. I would like to hear your view on this. The topic first of all is oral health and athletic performance, where the topic we chose the last time was oral trauma.
mm-hmm.
We're focused around oral trauma because it was more linked to the sports. So we were going to see the rugby, and there's more high risk of oral facial trauma in the rugby than the cricket. So it felt that the cricket was a good match for oral health. But I've presented in this before. I presented out in Athens. It was the first time I sort of looked at this sort of concept of what sports dentistry is. And I said we have 3 pillars in sports dentistry, with the oral trauma on the athlete, the oral health in the athlete, and the oral function in the athlete. Is that your view? Do you think that sort of comprises all the sort of different parts in which we can support an athlete?
I mean, you can say 3 pillars or 5 pillars or however you want to word it. there's different names that you can use for all of it, but what you've just covered there, including education and prevention, and obviously trauma and oral health. But the oral health and athletic performance is a massive subject, because there's so much that goes into that. When you're talking about oral health, you're talking about nutrition that the athletes are eating, and how they're managing that nutrition, how they're eating or drinking that nutrition, what effect is that having on the oral microbiome, how is that then affecting what's happening in their gut? Is their gut then affecting what's happening in the mouth, because it can mirror kind of potential underlying issues, and you've got kind of reflux and how that potentially can affect it as well. So I think you have to kind of dissect oral health and athletic performance into smaller bite-sized bits to be able to understand the wider spectrum that it covers. And I think the speakers that we have definitely cover that, because we have got clinicians from different professions who are going to be able to give us their sixpence about what they believe or what they see the role of oral health and athletic performance from their professions as well.
Yeah, no, I think with our speakers are covering the oral health topic really, really well. We did a really good job in Edinburgh, I think, with the speakers that covered oral trauma, and we do have a really good lineup of speakers this time as well. So we're going to cover everything from screening right through to a sports medicine doctor that supports cricket athletes, to give that insight that links it in quite well with the sport. And there's also some very other interesting topics as well, the likes of nutrition, but also we have a lecture on oral health in ballet, but it's performance arts athletes. That's the term I'm looking for, which is quite interesting, because it's almost like a section of athletes that we maybe don't look at as athletes, but it's a really, really big growing area, which is the performing arts and how athletic them artists are and what they do.
Yeah, I think definitely we need to be exposed to different sports away from mainstream. So maybe other sporting backgrounds that people have been in and what they're involved in and what they see, because there will be similarities, but there'll also be a lot of differences as well. And it's about being able to kind of pick things out which might suit you when you're seeing a specific athlete. You say, oh, well, actually, this is quite common in this sort of athlete. And how you kind of tie that together, and then how you then educate the athlete on that, and how you continue to treat them and in going forward. So I think it's really interesting. The sports medicine consultant, Rebecca, that we've got on, she works with the Lawn Tennis Association. She also works with GB Boxing and, like you said, Lancashire Cricket Club as well. And then you've got David Dunn, who's the CEO and co-founder of
Hexus,
yeah.
Hexus. So they really, so David Hexus sort of developed from David's PhD, where they looked into sort of carbohydrates and how it affects, and more about the timing and stuff of carbohydrates and its effects. I think I spoke about this before in one of the other podcasts, maybe, and when we're chatting to Abatal about her diet and stuff, about how Hexus with nutritionists use it and athletes use it, but it's all about your diet and your timing of the diet. And when I was speaking to him, he was talking about how he finds it really interesting that he's speaking to the professional cyclists that they work with. They're telling him to fuel every 20 minutes with carbohydrates over a 6-hour cycle. Or when they're working with the Premier League teams, because they work with quite a lot of Premier League teams as well, that's completely different, because you won't have the same ability to, and it's less intense, like not less intense, but it's 90 minutes compared to like six hours. So it's completely different that way. So that's going to be really interesting. It's going to give us a really good insight into, particularly from our field, how carbohydrates has a really big impact on oral health, and how these athletes are fueling themselves from a carbohydrate perspective, which will help us, depending on that athlete sport, give them strategies so they can ensure that their nutrition for that sport doesn't have a negative impact on their oral health.
Yeah, so kind of looking at more kind of performance nutritionist sort of side of things, right? Kind of have personalized kind of fueling plans. And I know that they're working very closely with World Cycling at the moment as well. So that'll be really interesting to see his thoughts on that, and what he potentially perceives that impact it could have on oral health as well, or what he thinks about it. Because obviously he's doing it in such a way where He's looking at getting the best out of the athlete. Are they taking into consideration what effects it might have on the oral health, which is the whole point of the having him on, so we can ask him questions and he can give us his sixpence on it as well. But one of the ladies at the forefront of education and research is none other than Julie Gallagher, and obviously absolutely delighted to have Julie coming on and giving us a lecture, because she's got so much research and she's done a lot of work behind the scenes, and a lot of the studies that we cite in papers and we cite on this podcast, or we cite in other aspects of sports dentistry. So it's really great to have her on as well.
Yeah, it's great. And she did her PhD in screening of athletes and worked with a lot of professional athletes. So it's great that she's been able to give that insight into, from an oral health perspective, what's going on out there with athletes. And that links in nicely. It'd be nice to hear that contrast between what David is going to be presenting on, and that's that performance nutritional side of things, and what Julie's presenting on, and what is the oral health of athletes. And then it'll be interesting to see how they match up, or is there better communication we need to do with the athletes to help minimize sort of impacts from their performance nutrition that might be leading to what we're seeing from an oral health perspective in athletes.
Yeah, definitely. I think with her being on the front line, as you would say, in terms of sports dentistry and where it has been and where we are going, because a lot of it and a lot of research she's doing kind of pave the way for how we then end up screening our athletes and how we end up discussing things with them as well. We are delighted to have Ionate as a sponsor for the Sports Dentistry podcast. Are you looking for a water bottle that's built to keep up with your active lifestyle? Look no further than Ionate, the totally leak-proof water bottles with triple lock technology to prevent spills no matter where you're headed. With a simple one-touch opening mechanism, you can sip on the go without hassle. Plus, Ionate's sleek, modern designs are not only functional but can be personalized just for you. Made from high-quality steel, these bottles are easy to clean, and best of all, they're sustainable. From 320 mils to 1200 mils, Ionate has the perfect size for you, whether you're just out for a jog or going on a long hike. And it doesn't stop at water bottles. Ionate also has travel mugs and flasks to keep your drinks just right wherever you are. Ionate is the official water bottle supplier to the British and Irish Lions on their tour to Australia this summer, and are the official water bottle supplier to the NFL, so you know you're getting the best. I have been using their bottles for a long time now and cannot recommend them highly enough. So head over to www.ionate.co.uk to get your hands on the best bottles in the business, bar none. Now back to the pod. When you were talking about the ballet performance, obviously Imogen, who's one of the speakers, she's quite unique in that she's a dental therapist as well. She's obviously coming into the end of her sports dentistry master's program this year, so it'll be fascinating to see her side of things from a therapy side of things as well, and about how she's able to utilize her skills as a therapist and bringing that into the sports dentistry world, and have her background on ballet and what she's seen in that as well, because I'm pretty sure she did her master's project on that, didn't she?
Yeah, so her master's project was on the oral health of ballet and performing arts athletes. And she went around for a full range. I didn't realise until I had a conversation with her just the number of athletes UK-wise and what ages they start. They start quite young. So any sort of habits that they might pick up, as you know, whether they're going to be picked up quite young, because they're obviously going to be trying to be the next superstar in their sports. So they're going to be following the people that are ahead of them. So that's going to be quite interesting to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got another one of our colleagues who is the dentist to England Rugby, Annie Seaborn, who did the master's program with me a few years ago. And it'll be great to hear her story. Her story is quite unique in that she's played international sport as well. She played lacrosse for Wales when she was at university in Cardiff. And it'd be great to hear her story and how she kind of likes to kind of break down barriers. And she's very much at the forefront of sports dentistry down in England way as well. And it's great to see people taking an initiative and trying to just progress and take things to the next level. I've got a lot of respect for people who, don't want to sit still and want to keep moving. And I suppose in a way we're both the same, and that we are trying to do something a bit different with the podcast. Annie's got another online platform with which I felt, which kindly asked me to help with to do as well. But I think it's really important that we're able to support fellow colleagues, kind of not just in the UK, but kind of worldwide in terms of how they're trying to achieve things. And the World Sports Dentistry WhatsApp group was going a bit crazy today with all the releasing of researches that the guys are putting on there. So it's really incredible they're able to share their knowledge with us, and we're able to read that and kind of see where that. So a lot of respect needs to be given to people like, well, all our speakers. Actually, I think it's going to be a fantastic day, and it'll be a really good food for thought for people who maybe haven't really thought about how oral health can impact athletic performance. But many of us sports dentists, obviously, we see a lot of athletes, but certainly a lot of just general clinicians do see not just elite athletes, but they'll be seeing your amateur athletes who need this level of education as well that we'll cover.
Yeah, and Annie, I use Annie as a great example of someone, and we speak about before about going to teams and approaching teams. Because when Annie started off with the Masters, like yourself, she wasn't actively involved with the team, and she went out and she started working with Harlequins Rugby Club, and the fantastic work she was doing with them led to an opportunity to work with England Rugby, and now she supports England Rugby as well, and she's supporting Formula One drivers that are based close to her as well, and lots of other sports as well. But she she took the initiative to go out and get actively involved, and I use her as a great example for someone that's maybe a little bit nervous, not working with teams. You sort of just have to go out there. You can go out there, approach teams, offer your services, and you never know where it's going to lead 3, 4, 5 years down the line.
Absolutely. And I think people need to realize that you can't just go straight into the top. You can't, just because you like a sport, you like rugby, you like hockey, you like ice hockey, you like badminton, doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to just get in straight into the elites, like the internationals or the GB athletes. You do have to kind of earn your stripes and work your way up. There should be the people who are above you, or the people who are dealing with these athletes, should have an open arm to say, look, if you're willing to come on board, more than happy, because that's how we all started. Because we had somebody else who was saying, do you know what, come under my wing and I'll help take you to the next level. And I think it's really important to do that. And it certainly shouldn't be like a closed shop. And I'm certainly not a big believer in that. And I don't like seeing that. And I like seeing people who are very much open-minded, because you'll be able to feed off each other. There'll be things you can learn from somebody who's a bit more junior to you. And you have to kind of earn your way up and earn your accreditation, earn doing the master's program, or doing the CBD certificate, or doing some other online sports dentistry programs. And I think it's a great way to be able to see what you can achieve and be like, that's where I want to be. So if you want to be there, if you want to work alongside somebody like Annie or Imogen or myself or yourself, then they should certainly get in touch. And I think we would be the sort of people who would open our arms and be like, yeah, it's fine. Come and shadow. We can lead you in the right direction about what you should be doing and what you can learn, but you can also feed off each other and learn off each other, because we've said this before, but every day is a school day.
Yeah, it's great. So it's going to be a great educational event. And as was said before, there's going to be a lot of other sports dentists that are going to be there that are highly experienced that maybe aren't presenting. And if they've been on, the likes of Serpo is going to be there representing Dental and Trauma UK, who is one of our podcast guests. Go up and say hello and pick their brains. That's how you learn. That's how you build your network up. So don't be afraid to go up and introduce yourself and start a conversation with so many top quality sports dentists that are working with most of the elite teams and most of the elite athletes in the UK are going to be there in Manchester. So you're going to get some fantastic education, but you also want to have an opportunity to have these wee small conversations outside the main lecture, whether that's in between the tea and coffee breaks, or while we're setting up for the conference dinner, or whether it's on the tram on the way to the cricket. Some of these conversations are where you learn lots as well from, and you build your network up as well. So it's going to be a fantastic day all around.
Yeah, I think if we were able to spark or ignite somebody's love for sports dentistry on that day, I think even if it's just one person that walks away thinking, wow, that was brilliant, that was really good, not just as a sporting event hopefully, but as a day itself, because we obviously want to pride ourselves on the CPD and the education part of things. Obviously that is so important. I think we need to make sure that We do talk about networking quite a lot. We do talk about socializing, but the most important thing is it needs to be educational. We need to show people that we actually know what we're talking about, that we actually care, that we're able to benefit the people who are coming, that they can actually take the information that day and take it to their practices on the Monday when they go back. So I think that's really important. And hopefully we can build on that, and we can build on what we're going to do next year and make it even bigger and better. Because the whole plan is, as we've said before, is to get to a level where we're like kind of become an association similar to the Sports Medicine Association. We're miles off that at the minute. However, it can be a compounding effect. So I think each year, as we continue to grow, as the word spreads, we put on a fantastic show in Edinburgh last year. It's going to be hard to beat that, but we need to be like, try and say like, okay, we're going to improve just everything about what's going to happen in Manchester, because even the food in Edinburgh was unbelievable. So we just little things like that, even like the food and having nice coffee, just little things people walk away with. Actually, this was really good.
Coffee is definitely number one. There has to be a coffee, especially if somebody's getting an early flight that morning to fly in. You definitely need to get the coffee on board.
Coffee's a must. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that Voco have got some outstanding coffee on offer, which I'm sure they will. It's a really reputable hotel, so I'm sure it'll be pretty sweet.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be good. The food in Edinburgh was great. That was a great venue we had in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
The food throughout the day and that conference dinner that was night was fantastic. So, Vocal will hopefully live up to that with high expectations. So the better.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. So obviously, and then we'll want to try and get an idea of kind of when we want to do next year's conference and where we want to do next year's conference. So we're still quite open to suggestions. We've had a few options kind of flirting about, but we just want to see if there's anything more available, because ideally if we can have something or a date or time frame where next year's conference could be, then we want to let the delegates that they know, so they can kind of get a bit of a heads up. But like I said, we're open to suggestions in terms of feeding it back to the UK Sports Dentistry Committee and seeing what they think about things. And like I said, this is an international podcast. We are taking this and spreading the word all over the world. But with us being based in UK, then there's no harm in us plugging the conference in this pod.
Yeah, definitely. I think September's a good time, especially when we're trying to link in sports, because the summer sports are coming to the end, but the winter sports are starting. So it gives us a good range of sports that we can hopefully link in with. I did mention about going to Hull. Chris Eyre was in Edinburgh, and I was like, look, if Coldplay can go to Hull,
Yeah.
UK Sports Dentistry Association should go to Hull. And he just informed me that Coldplay, where they played, that rugby club, Hull KR just won the Challenge Cup. So, maybe we should just follow around Oasis, where Oasis playing.
I was going to
Right?
I was going to say, obviously, at the moment, the big buzz is Oasis, isn't it? Just see where they're going. But they're only playing this year. I don't think they're playing next year. But I think, can you put a sports dentistry conference with live music band? You never know. It could be one of a kind.
You never know. If we get big enough, we could have a live music band at the conference dinner.
Oh, we could do, yeah. If anybody plays any musical instruments, they can bring it along. Especially a saxophone. I'm a massive fan of saxophone. So if there's some live saxophone, oh, happy days.
Yeah, and we are in Manchester, so you never know if Noel or Liam is listening out.
Yeah.
A few tunes. Can't play us a few tunes over the conference dinner.
Well, they might say, "Oh, we'll go to the conference. If you can get seats to get stickers, no worries, guys. We can sort you out."
And then we'll certainly go with them to the Manchester Derby the next day. So
absolutely,
and we'll all wear blue to thank them for coming.
Exactly.
So I think that's a pretty good look at the conference coming up, more, and then next week we have a great line of guests lined up for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So really looking forward to them conversations and a nice spread. We'll be building in a few UK guests to build up as we're coming towards the conference, and then with a few guests lined up from around the world as well, so we can chat about what's going on in their area and everything to do with sports dentistry.
Yeah, definitely be a big build up now, in the next few weeks. And again, like before you know it, we'll be recording live in Manchester. So we need to start.
Now we're meant to be recording live in Dusseldorf. You've pulled
Oh,
this
yes,
forward.
yes.
You
That's true.
pulled this forward 2 months. You're putting us under
That's right.
pressure.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll need to record a pod in Manchester, whether it's live or not, I don't
We
know.
need,
But
we
we
need
still
to
need to
start.
get,
We need to start recording video pods.
yes.
I would never,
Well, actually,
never,
in fairness,
never mind.
I did ask you that maybe today we should do it in video. You're like, no, I'm still trying to go for my weekend away. So I was like, that's fine, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm not looking the sharpest.
You look good to me, mate. You look good to me. We'll get there. But yeah, we need to we'll start looking at the merch, and we just keep plugging away at the weeks, and we keep the episodes coming, and I think we've done well to get to 16 so far, and then we just keep grafting out and keep working hard.
Yeah, we're building, and as like the rest of sports dentistry, things are only getting bigger and stronger, and as everything sort of builds up, we're still very hopeful of a world conference sometime. I did throw out a piece of thread there at the weekend to see if Marbella would be an option.
Yeah.
But Miami is also a good option as well, which would, I would say, would be a similar sort of weather, and concept to Marbella, maybe just on a slightly bigger scale. So,
Yeah.
but we'll find. I think about having a few conversations with our international colleagues about a world conference, and I think one of the things that we need to overcome is probably the language barrier, and we have a lot of international colleagues who speak Portuguese, whether that's in Brazil or Portugal. We have a lot of international colleagues who speak Spanish, whether it's the South Americans or the ones in Spain. So maybe an idea whether we run an international conference that we have different tracks. So we might have different rooms and being led by a different language, or if we can get the stage where we get some of these fancy earphones that translate the speaker. Yeah. I think that's maybe a challenge if we really want to have a world conference to bring everybody together. I think this is one of the challenges where we don't want the language to be something that puts someone off, that if they were to go, they won't get maybe the full educational benefit out of it because of the language barrier. So that's something we need to have a think about as well, maybe as a group, and see how we can overcome that.
Yeah, but I don't just think that the fancy earphones for translation is for our Portuguese or Spanish speaking friends. It's for somebody like yourself as well, mate. So I think people need to put their headphones and be like, John, what are you talking about? John, what are you talking about? Put the headset on so they know.
Yeah. Well, I'll be so handy if it worked like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I just wanted to kind of touch on, to buy the tickets is obviously through the UK Sports Dentistry website, which there is a link for that. You don't necessarily have to buy a full day ticket. You can, if you just want to come to the conference or just the conference and the dinner, you can do that as well. So it's not just a full day conference ticket, which includes the cricket. So don't be put off by having to commit for the full entire day and night. So it is open to just doing the conference as well. So the link will be with this post, and please get buying. It'll be great to meet all of you, and we're very much looking forward to having a chat with people we've never met before and find out about their journeys and who they're working with and what they're doing and what interests they have in sports dentistry. Yeah, and kind of take things from there, really.
Yeah, it's always good. You always take away 3 or 4 nuggets from every conference, so it'll be good. It'll be a good day. So until the next time, Umar.
Yep. Until the next time, my friend.
Hopefully the sun stays around for the next week.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. See you soon.
Cheers, bud.